Welcome to Dose with Grace. I hope you're doing well and taking very good care of your health. Today we are going to start with the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called the Purushottam Yoga, and it is also called the Yoga of the Supreme Person. So I hope you will enjoy this wonderful learning with me, and you can go back to the previous video to understand the different levels of understanding what is Atma, what is Karma, and the way Sri Krishna has explained to Arjun the philosophy, the understanding of the way of life from chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita up to the chapter 14th. So today we are going to start with this new chapter. Let's begin it with the blessings of these powerful and blissful Mahamantras. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you for joining back. The 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is a chapter with 20 verses. So let's begin with the first verse. उसके उपरांत श्री कृष्ण भगवान फिर बोले कि हे अर्जुन, आदि पुरुष परमेश्वर रूप मूल वाले और ब्रह्मा रूप मूल शाखा वाले, जिस संसार रूप पीपल के वृक्ष को अविनाशी कहते हैं तथा जिसके वेद पत्ते कहे गए हैं, उस संसार रूप वृक्ष को जो पुरुष मूल सहित तत्व से जानता है, वह वेद के तात्पर्य को जानने वाला है. So in the first shloka of the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna tells Arjun, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and its branches down, whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree really is the knower of the Vedas. हे अर्जुन, उस संसार वृक्ष की तीनों गुण रूप जल के द्वारा बड़ी हुई एवं विषय भोग रूप कोंपलों वाली देव, मनुष्य और तीर्यक आदि योनि रूप शाखाएं नीचे और ऊपर सर्वत्र फैली हुई हैं तथा मनुष्य योनियों में कर्मों के अनुसार बांधने वाली अहंता, ममता और वासना रूप जड़ें भी नीचे और ऊपर सभी लोकों में व्याप्त हो रही हैं. So in the second shloka of the 15th chapter, Shri Krishna says the branches of this tree extend towards and up, downwards and upwards, nourished by the three modes of material nature, the sattva, rajas and the tamas mode. The twigs are the objects of the senses. The tree also has its roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitative actions of the human society. Now this process of extrication or the entanglement of this material world is compared here to the banyan tree. For one who is entangled in the fruitative activities, there is no end to this banyan tree. He wanders from one branch to another branch, and the tree of this material world has no end. And for those who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation, because then it will be just shifting from one branch to another branch, and it is so big that there is no beginning of it, there is no end of it. The Vedic hymns meant for elevating us, which are the leaves of this tree, they are called the Vedic hymns. They are meant to give us the knowledge and to grow us upwards. They are also called the leaves of this tree. This tree's roots grow upwards. The root, generally we see a tree has roots going downwards, whereas this tree of entanglements, it grows upwards because they begin from where Brahma is located, the topmost planet of this universe. If one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, then only one can get out of it. So in the previous chapter, it has been explained that there are many processes by which we get out of the material entanglement. And up to the 13th chapter, we have seen that the devotional service to God is the best way. Now, the basic principle of devotional service is the detachment from the material world. It is not possible to sustain yourself into having that sense of devotional service if we are not partly at least detached from the material pleasures. So that itself gives us the slight shift towards the transcendental service towards the transcendental service towards the God. The process of breaking the attachment to material world is discussed in the beginning of this chapter. So, in the description of banyan tree that is explained in the first and the second, shloka, here it is described that in the lower parts there are variegated manifestations of living entities, for example human beings, animals, horses, cows, dogs, etc. And these are situated on the lower parts of the branches, whereas on the upper parts are the higher forms of living entities like demigod, gandharvas, and many other higher species of life. As the tree is nourished by the water of life or the nature that God is providing, so the tree is nourished by the three modes of nature, material nature, and sometimes we find that and as these modes of nature work with the nature, we will see that some parts of it are proportionately greater in quantity, some are greener, and some species are manifested according to this interplay. The twigs of the tree are considered to be the sense objects. By the development of the different modes of nature, we develop into different senses, and by these senses we enjoy different varieties of sense objects. The tips of the branches are the senses, for example the ears, nose, eyes, etc., which are attached to the enjoyment of different sense objects. The tendencies towards piety and impiety are considered to develop from these secondary roots, which are spreading in all directions. The real root is from Brahmaloka, and the other roots, which are the tertiary roots which are emerging from the real root, are the human planetary systems. Therefore, after one enjoys the result of the virtuous activities in the upper planetary systems, they come to earth and renew his karma or fruitative activities for promotion. This planet of human beings is considered to be the field of activities. That's why mostly many learned people have also called this place as Earth School. इसके उपरांत उस परम पद परमेश्वर को अच्छी प्रकार परंतु इस संसार वृक्ष का स्वरूप जैसा कहा गया है वैसा यहाँ विचार काल में नहीं पाया जाता है, क्योंकि ना तो इसका आदि है ना अंत है तथा ना अच्छी प्रकार से स्थिति ही है। इसलिए इस अहंता, ममता और वासना रूप अति दृढ़ मूल वाले संसार रूप पीपल के उस वृक्ष को दृढ़ वैराग्य रूप शास्त्र द्वारा काट कर इसके उपरांत उस परम पद परमेश्वर को अच्छी प्रकार खोजना चाहिए कि जिसमें किए हुए पुरुष फिर पीछे संसार में नहीं आते हैं, और जिस परमेश्वर से ये पुरातन संसार वृक्ष की प्रवृत्ति विस्तार को प्राप्त हुई है, उसी ही आदि पुरुष नारायण के मैं शरण में हूँ, इस प्रकार दृढ़ निश्चय करके। The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends and where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with the determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. These entanglements of all the pleasure of five senses, for example, being so attached to looking at pleasurable things, wanting pleasurable things, and all of that. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, a place where you find moksha, and then surrender to that supreme personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since the time immemorial. The word here, asanga, is very important in the connection, because attachment to the sense enjoyment and lording it over the material nature is very strong. Therefore, one must learn detachment by discussion. How do we learn detachment? By discussion of spiritual sciences based on these scriptures. And one must hear them from person who's actually maybe practicing them, because there will be a level of juice of or a nectar of bhakti in them. There will be a certain sense of devotional practice in them. There will be a certain sense of discipline towards these scriptures in them. So, as a result of this discussion and the association of devotees, one comes to understand more about these scriptures, and therefore about consciousness. And then the first thing one must do is towards learning more is to build a little humility, to be little in surrender. The supreme consciousness is the original root from that everything has emanated. To gain the favor of that Brahm, that Param Brahm, one has only to surrender, and that is the result that comes as a result of performing some devotional service, either by hearing the name of God, by chanting the name of God, etc. etc. He is the cause of the extension of the material world. That has already been explained by the Lord himself. Aham Brahmasami, Aham Sarvasya Pravaha. I am the origin of everything. Therefore, to get out of the entanglement of this strong banyan tree of the material life, one must surrender to this huge benevolent consciousness, which we can call in the name of Ram, Shiva, Allah, any guru that you have. Just having that surrender and the faith. As soon as one surrenders to this, one becomes detached automatically from this material existence. नष्ट हो गया है मान और मोह जिसका, तथा जीत लिया है आसक्ति रूप दोष जिसने, और परमात्मा के रूप में है निरंतर स्थिति जिनकी, तथा अच्छी प्रकार से नष्ट हो गई है कामना जिनकी, ऐसे वे सुख दुख नामक द्वंद्वों से विमुख हुए ज्ञानी जन उस अविनाशी परम पद को प्राप्त होते हैं. Those who are free from this false prestige of that I am this, I am that, or I have achieved so much, or I am so knowledgeable, I am so healthy, I am so good looking, I am so rich, I am so famous, or whatever. Illusion. All these things are illusion, because you are nothing but Atma. And false association. Again, attaching ourselves into these identities is also false association. Who understands the eternal, and who are done with this material lust, and who are free from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who unbewildered know how to surrender onto the Supreme Personality, or your own version of God, they attain to the eternal kingdom. मैं उस स्वयं प्रकाश में परम पद को ना सूर्य प्रकाशित कर सकता है, ना चंद्रमा, न अग्नि ही प्रकाशित कर सकता है, तथा जिस परम पद को प्राप्त होकर मनुष्य पीछे संसार में नहीं आते हैं, वही मेरा परम धाम है. So in the 6th shloka of Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna tells, the supreme abode of mind is not illuminated by sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return into this material world. Or in another way, this all that we see in this world is not there in the eternal world. It is not illuminated by the things that are illuminating this world, and also we get rid of this whole circle of birth, growing, old age, disease, death, and the miseries that are attached to this material world. हे अर्जुन, इस देह में यह जीवात्मा मेरा ही सनातन अंश है और वही इस त्रिगुणमयी माया में स्थित हुई मन सहित पांचों इंद्रियों को आकर्षण करता है. The living, all the living creatures that are in this conditioned world because they are under the three maya, which is sattva maya, rajas and tamas gun, the three gunas, the three modes of the maya. So this is a conditioned world. So the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragment parts. We are where? We are parts of that eternal light or that eternal consciousness. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with these 6 senses, which include the mind. So due to this conditioning of the gunas, then they are struggling in this world because they can't see the reality. We are either operating out of sattva gun or rajas or tamas gun, and therefore they cannot really understand the reality, and they are suffering this because of the 6 senses. And one of the senses, we know of the 5 senses, but one of the senses is also mind. जैसे कि वायु गंध के स्थान से गंध को जैसे ग्रहण करके ले जाता है, वैसे ही देह अधिकारियों का स्वामी जीवात्मा भी जिस पहले शरीर को त्यागता है, उससे इन मन सहित इंद्रियों को ग्रहण करके फिर जिस शरीर को प्राप्त होता है उसमें जाता है. All the living beings in this world that we also now call as material world, because we have already understood that there is a eternal world which is different from this world, which begins and which ends. The living entities in this material world carries its different conceptions of life from one body to another, as just like how air carries aromas. It carries the fragrance or a smell from one place to another. Similarly, all these understandings or the conceptions of this life are carried from one life to another. Thus, he takes one kind of body again and then quits it to another. उस शरीर में स्थित हुआ ये जीवात्मा श्रोत्र, चक्षु और त्वचा को तथा रसना, घ्राण और मन को आश्रय करके अर्थात इन सबके सहारे से ही विषयों को सेवन करता है. All the living beings, thus taking another gross body, when we die, we carry all these impressions with our soul into the next body that we want to take form of. So thus, when we take another gross body, obtain a certain type of eyes, certain type of ears, nose, tongue, and the sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind, and thus enjoys a particular sense of objects. That's why we are living the afterlife of our previous life. परंतु शरीर को छोड़कर जाते हुए अथवा शरीर में स्थित होते को और विषयों को भोगते हुए को अथवा तीनों गुणों से युक्त हुए को भी अज्ञानी जन नहीं जानते हैं. केवल ज्ञान रूप नेत्रों वाले ज्ञानी जन ही तत्व से जानते हैं. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit its body, nor can they understand that what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all of that. As you saw in the previous chapters, how Krishna explains the nature that we have, as we develop that nature towards the end of our life, when we are leaving this body, along with soul, that nature, because the mind travels with the soul, it will work on our next birth. Even astrologically, when we see that in our chart the soul enters the body, that is the point of contact of one of the houses in our chart, it carries a certain karmas, and due to these karmas there is a certain kind of formation of body that is perfect to serve those karmas. We are born in that kind of a body. It will have a particular type of it will have a certain type of skin, eyes, tongues, nose and a certain nature. It is the what sort of body that person will enjoy, it comes under the mode of nature. But this can be only seen by those who are into this learning of scriptures, and who understands that there is an atma, there is a journey of soul is eternal, and it continues from life to death and beyond many deaths. क्योंकि योगीजन भी अपने हृदय में स्थित हुए इस आत्मा को यत्न करते हुए ही तत्व से जानते हैं, और जिन्होंने अपने अंतकरण को शुद्ध नहीं किया है, ऐसे अज्ञानीजन तो यत्न करते हुए भी इस आत्मा को नहीं जानते हैं. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization, those who sit and meditate, those who go beyond the petty day-to-day activities and very material pursuits of things, they are called the transcendentalists. So the endeavoring, the ones who are who are prayasis, who put effort every day into going beyond what is visible in the world and trying to understand the nature of who am I, what is this whole cycle of, because we are going through these multiple cycles. We see people dying in front of us, we see people taking birth in front of us, so we know that life is eternal. It goes life, the soul is eternal and the bodies perish. So these endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all of this clearly, but whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to. हे अर्जुन, जो तेज सूर्य में स्थित हुआ संपूर्ण जगत को प्रकाशित करता है, तथा जो तेज चंद्रमा में स्थित है और जो तेज अग्नि में स्थित है, उसको तू मेरा ही तेज जान, और मैं ही पृथ्वी में प्रवेश कर कर अपनी शक्ति से सब भूतों को धारण करता हूँ, और रस स्वरूप अर्थात अमृतमय चंद्रमा होकर संपूर्ण औषधियों को अर्थात वनस्पतियों को पुष्ट करता हूँ. In this shloka, Shri Krishna is telling Arjun, the splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of the whole world, comes from me. And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of the fire also comes from me. And then he further says, I enter into each planet and my energy there stay in the orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all the vegetables. So this is how Krishna is explaining how my energy creates, how my energy enlivens the things that enliven the world, like the sun and the moon, and how my energy further penetrates into each and every planet, and through that it penetrates that orbit, and through that it penetrates the juice of life. That means in every single grain and the vegetables and the fruits. तथा मैं ही सभी प्राणियों के शरीर में स्थित हुआ वैष्णव अग्नि रूप होकर प्राण और अपान से युक्त हुआ 4 प्रकार के अन्न को पचाता हूँ, और मैं ही सब प्राणियों के हृदय में अंतर्मयी रूप से स्थित हूँ, तथा मेरे से ही स्मृति, ज्ञान और अपोहन होता है, और सब वेदों द्वारा मैं ही जानने के योग्य हूँ, तथा वेदांत का कर्ता और वेदों का जानने वाला भी मैं ही हूँ. So here Krishna is explaining how, where, to what level the energy, how it is permeating at different levels. I am the fire of digestion in the body of all living beings. So I am the fire that is enlivening the star that enlivens the universe. That is, I am the fire in the sun. I am the light in the moon. I am the fire that enters. I enter into each planet through the energy of the sun that I create, and then through that into the every particle that is created through life. Then he says, I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming. Pan and apan means outgoing and incoming, the in breath and the out breath, to digest the four kind of foodstuffs. The four kind of digestive foods are the ones which are, some are drunk, some are chewed, some are licked, and some are sucked, and he is the digestive force in all of them. हे अर्जुन, इस संसार में नाशवान और अविनाशी, and the further he says that I am seated in everyone's heart. I am in the in breath and the out breath. I am the one that is the digestive juice in. I'm the digestive force for all different types of food. And he says, I'm seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So when we say, now I remember, when we want to make someone remember something, we need grace of God for that person to also have that knowledge. We say that only when there is a grace of God we can receive knowledge about God. And forgetfulness, this is also by the grace of God. There are people who forget about God. By all Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So when I say, when we read Vedas and we become knower of it, what in it is become the knower, the one that is in our heart. And what is in our heart? Shri Krishna is himself saying, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes the remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And by the Vedas and by all the Vedas, I am able to be known indeed, and I am the compiler of the Vedanta. Vedanta is when at the end of Vedas there was some scriptures were written which was the end, which marked the end of Vedas. That's called Vedanta. I am the knower of the Veda. So here, who is no other than the consciousness itself. The purpose of the Vedas, the understanding of the Vedas, and the goal of Vedas is clearly defined. हे अर्जुन, इस संसार में नाशवान और अविनाशी भी ये दो प्रकार के पुरुष हैं. उनमें संपूर्ण भूत प्राणियों के शरीर तो नाशवान और जीवात्मा अविनाशी कहा जाता है, तथा उन दोनों से उत्तम पुरुष तो अनन्य ही है, जो तीनों लोकों में प्रवेश करके सबका धारण पोषण करता है, एवं अविनाशी परमेश्वर और परमात्मा ऐसे कहा गया है. So further, Shri Krishna is telling Arjun, there are two classes of beings. In this world, in this material world, there are two types of beings, the fallible and the infallible. The Avinashi and the Nashwan or Avinashi, the ones who come to perish and the ones who are eternal. In the material world, every living entity is, all the living entities will come to an end. They have a sense of mortality to them. And in the spiritual world, every living entity is eternal. Besides these two, he says, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. क्योंकि मैं नाशवान जड़ वर्ग क्षेत्र से तो सर्वथा अतीत हूँ और माया में स्थित अविनाशी जीवात्मा से भी उत्तम हूँ, इसलिए लोक और वेद में भी पुरुषोत्तम नाम से प्रसिद्ध हूँ. So here Sri Krishna says that since besides these two, one is the one which is mortal and fallible, and one which is immortal and infallible. Now Supreme Soul is above all of these. He is besides these. It is who enters all the three worlds and maintains them, because that is transcendental, beyond the perishable and imperishable, fallible and the infallible, and because it is the highest, therefore that personality is that Brahm is celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person, as Purushottam. So what is Purushottam? Who is beyond mortality, who is beyond this world and that world, and that is celebrated both in this world and in the Vedas as Purushottam. Purushottam means the highest in Purusha. हे भारत, इस प्रकार तत्व से जो ज्ञानी पुरुष मेरे को पुरुषोत्तम जानता है, वह सर्वज्ञ पुरुष सब प्रकार से निरंतर मुझ वासुदेव परमेश्वर को ही भजता है. हे निष्पाप अर्जुन, ऐसे ये अति रहस्य युक्त गोपनीय शास्त्र मेरे द्वारा कहा गया इस तत्व को से जानकर मनुष्य ज्ञानवान और कृतार्थ हो जाता है, अर्थात उसको कुछ भी करना शेष नहीं रहता है. So here Shri Krishna is saying, whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality or as the Supreme Soul, as the pure, the highest level of eternal consciousness, without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O Krishna, O Arjuna. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, and therefore he says to Arjun, it is disclosed to you by me now. Whoever understands this will become wise, and endeavor will know, and his endeavors will now be free and be pure of any illusions. Here the word bhajati is very significant. In many places the word it is expressed in relationship with the service of God. If a person is engaged in full bhakti, it is to be understood that he has understood Vedic knowledge, because bhakti is something which is a quality of heart, and when we transcend mind we reach heart. Until the mind is engaged in questions, queries, curiosities, it has to be satiated through knowledge. Once the knowledge is complete, that's when the doors to heart open with such magnanimity that there is no doubt left. There is absolutely a sense of peace and clarity. In the Vaishnav Parampara, it is said that if one is engaged in devotional service of Krishna, then there is, or the God that you believe in, then there is no need for any other spiritual process for understanding the truth. He is already come to the point because he is engaged in the service of God. One has attained the preliminary process of understanding. So thus the word anaga in which Arjun is addressed is very significant. Here the word anaga means a sinless one, which means unless one is free from all the sinful reactions, it is very difficult to understand the Param Brahm. It is very difficult to understand the supreme super soul or the supreme consciousness, because until then some or the other kind of illusion will be attached to us. So one has to become free of all the contamination, all kind of sinful activity, whether it is greed, lust, um, anger, all of these. It should be more directed towards knowing your higher self. Then then he can understand. But devotional service is so pure and potent that when one engages into devotional service, automatically one comes to the stage, slowly, 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 due to this devotional service, slowly we start progressing towards the stage which is called sinlessness. And when one is performing devotional service, there are certain things which require to be vanquished altogether, and that is the weakness of heart. The first desire, um, one gives up the transcendental loving service towards God. The second weakness of the heart is, um, uh, probably one increases the propensity to lord it over material nature and becomes attached to matter and the possessions of matter. The problem of material existence are due to the weakness of heart. So, in the first chapter, the first 5 verses describe the process of freeing ourselves from these weaknesses of heart, and for the rest of the chapter, from the 6th verse towards the end, discusses Purushottam Yoga. So, I hope you enjoyed this wonderful chapter, and this chapter of Purushottam Yoga, where in the first 5 verses, the way to reach first to be able to arrive at Purushottam, the door of Purushottam Yoga, is to understand the process how to free ourselves from the weakness of heart. And what are the 3 weaknesses of heart? Is first is fall down is caused by the desire to lord it over the material nature. Thus one gives up the transcendental loving service of the God. The second weakness of the heart is that one increases the propensity to lord it over material nature and becomes attached to matter and the possessions of matter. The third problem of material existence is through these weaknesses of the heart. So the first 5 verses explain all this in the form of banyan tree, the roots, the branches, the leaves, the understanding. Leaves represents the Vedas, and then the rest 6 verses onwards to the 20th verse is the discusses the Purushottam Yoga, how to reach the union to God through fully understanding the sense, the Purushottam. The Purushottam means the highest level of existence, which is the supreme soul that resides within our heart. So I hope you have loved this chapter. The next chapter is very, very beautiful. It is called Dev Asur Sampandi Bhag Yog. So that has also 24 shlokas. It will be a short chapter too, and then we'll be moving to the last 2 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. I hope you're enjoying this journey of learning, understanding, discussing Bhagavad Gita with me. And when you're watching these videos as family, you're able to discuss it and maybe relate and resonate with the things that are going in your life and find solutions directly from here. And just by also listening to it, it just elevates you to a higher level of being and understanding that we are above our small problems of life, are creations of our own mind, and they can be very well, the clarity can come through once we have knowledge which is under our scriptures and which teaches us the way to live life from the Vedas, from the times that this has been repeatedly tested and tried. And this absolute knowledge can be utilized into our daily lives to make it more divine, blissful, and fulfilling. With that, I would like to close this chapter by chanting these 2 Mahamantras and look forward to having you for the chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita very soon. Om Namah शिवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।